Hello, everyone. It's time to eat, drink, and be merry with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show with Nancy and Lisa, the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, as well as publishers of Parks and Travel magazine. So Big Blend Radio and TV magazine is our variety publication. It covers everything from food and wine to travel to nature, history, you name it. And then our Parks and Travel magazine obviously covers parks and travel, also wine and art, but it is also our publication covering the Love Your Parks tour, where we're traveling full-time across the country, documenting our parks, our public lands, and sharing the stories of the different communities. And we're very excited to have Marisa Hammerbeck back on the show. Marisa and her husband Gunnar founded PortoVino, and we love our PortoVinos. Now, everybody has to have a PortoVino. It is like, okay, you could have it as a backpack, a tote bag, a messenger bag. You can be styling, you can be out in the mountains. And what it does is there's a cool pouch in these bags where you can pour your vino into the pouch, you know, and then you just whip out the tap and have your wine wherever you want. It's very cool. It's very stealth. And we carry our backpacks all over the place and have wine in amazing places. And Marisa and Gunnar, signed us to a special project to have as many PortoVino-Views across the country as possible. We've created a map on it. You can check it out at nationalparktraveling.com. And now this has changed into even being a Big Blend community challenge, a collaborative challenge to have everybody go out there. And in 20 months, because it's 2020, within 20 months, we've got to all have 2020 views, like nature views, a nature view experience. Get out and enjoy the view. It doesn't have to be with wine. It could be with, rum and Coke, whatever you want. But I encourage you to go to PortoVino's website. It's porto-vino.com. So how are you, Marisa? It's good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
I know. It's as exciting because you've PortoVino'd around the world. Last time we spoke with you, you just come back from Greece.
Yes, cool. I know. Just like you two ladies, definitely love traveling. So whenever we can, we got to go out and check out, whether it's locally or abroad. It's definitely fun.
Well, we've learned that champagne does work in the PortoVino. I remember our very first conversation. We were all worried about it, and we toasted Christmas morning on the lower Colorado River. We took our little PortoVino with champagne in it, and it worked. It worked. Because we got there within an hour, right? You need an hour before you can.
That's what we recommend. It can last a little longer, but just to be on the safe side, with some agitation, walking around, and an hour is a good amount of time just to release the pressure so you can start drinking. So good. I'm glad you witnessed the bubblies in the PortoVino.
I know, and I think it was illegal what we were doing, but nobody knew. Well, that's the stealth part of it, and we're not encouraging people to, get in trouble, and we're not encouraging you to drink or drive or doing anything like that. You can have sparkling cider, you can, do water. We use it for water as we travel as well. But it carries 1.5 liters of your favorite beverage. But some of the PortoVinos, don't they have you have a double tap system going on?
That's right, yeah. So every PortoVino can carry up to 2 bottles of wine or 1.5 liters of any beverage, hot or cold. But the double pour it actually has 2 spouts or taps on it. So it carries 2 750 ml of any beverage. So if one of you likes red, one likes white, or somebody likes rum and Coke, and you want to put rum in one side, Coke in the other, or you can get creative with it. So
so that you could basically be a moving bar.
That's right, exactly. You can please your friends.
Boy.
Mom likes if mom likes rum and Coke, then you got the rum in one side, and you can stick with the red wine or whatever whatever the drink of the day is.
Well, so a lot of people are using these at concerts and picnics in the park. That's the one thing, it was hard for us to get into this one. It was a blues festival, and even for me to get my camera in and all of that was a big, they really kind of check you out. But some of those, there's all like summer and spring and fall. There's a lot of those community concerts out in the, public parks. So I can, Portofino is like perfect for those to go and just take your water or, whatever, stealth cocktail you want to make. Go to, enjoy those concerts. So that's got to happen a lot, even in your neighborhood out in Phoenix, right?
Absolutely. I know we actually have and where I live, and like I live in a community called Awatuki in the Phoenix area of Arizona, and they have like concerts in the park, and it's like, in the spring and in the fall, and so it's just a great place. And it usually everybody brings big coolers, and I always feel like I'm so fortunate because I just take my purse that I
Yeah.
use every day, and I can just fill up my pouch and with whatever I want, throw in an ice pack, and I don't look any different than I would be if I was just going to the store. But I now I'm packing a couple bottles of wine, so it's definitely practical. So
So, and this is something not just for women too. I mean, obviously the backpack is for anybody going out backpacking or hiking for the
yep,
day, or how I use it as a camera bag too. But
yeah.
then you've got messenger bags that are for dudes too.
You're right. Yeah, the messenger bags they're for both. I mean, we have women who love them and men who love them. So we do try to offer some variety for some, that men like. And it's funny because I was actually talking to a friend of ours, and he was like, you know what? I got smart. He's like, my wife has the messenger bag, and every time she goes shopping, like she tells me to hold her purse. And this time I was like, I put some whiskey in there, and I told her to bring the messenger bag. He's like, I was hanging out, just having no problem holding her messenger bag.
Oh my
He's
gosh,
like, so it's funny.
that
That is
is the
funny.
way. I could see
He
that.
was the talk of the guys. He
Oh
was the
my
talk of the
gosh.
guys in the mall.
Suddenly malls across America start reopening because all the guys are sitting on the benches, the women are shopping, and
Yeah.
I, that's
Everybody's
the only
happy.
that's the only way you're getting me in a mall is if there's wiggy. We call it wiggy. So it makes your tail, tail feathers, shake a little happy joy dance when you have your first sip of the day. And Nancy, that's the only way we go shopping is
Oh,
like.
I can't shop without it.
Yeah.
I'm the world's worst shopper. It's
So
like, oh
now
no,
you
do I have to?
go in the changing room and
No.
well,
I have stories about that.
I'm thinking, those who travel, like a lot of the travel writers. I mean, we just we're here in Yuma, Arizona, for the second annual Yuma Bird Nature History Festival, and Portovinos were everywhere, and as prizes for the trivia night. And a lot of our travel writer friends came, and we took so that they could learn more about Yuma and go bird watching. And it was really interesting chatting with them. And a lot of them one came in on a Greyhound bus. And it's
Wow.
interesting how people actually carpooled and everything. And a lot of the travel writing community, they're looking at and just like we do, how we travel on the tour, how do we lessen our environmental footprint as we're traveling? What can we do so that we can pass that on to our readers and our audiences? And there's nothing wrong with RVs, but we travel in a little RAV4 and keep it light, and we're not guzzling as much gas doing that way.
Mhm.
And I also just don't want to carry stuff, so we want to keep it light. But there's this thing. So one going on a Greyhound bus, and I was like, dude, you should have had the Portofino first, because
Yeah.
you sit on the Greyhound or the Amtrak if you're traveling on. A lot of people are doing that. That's how they travel. It's as much as
Mhm.
shared transportation, but you'd be in the back of the Uber and you just kind of whip out your your Portofino.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
thinking
not
this
only, yeah, like
way.
you're saying, reduce the footprint, but and you're just like the stress level, right? You don't have to be dealing with like all the traffic. You just can kick back and be productive, read a book, whatever you want to do, and have a glass of wine or some
Yeah.
water or whatever you want to drink, coffee, and yeah, it's definitely a more enjoyable way of getting from A to B.
Yeah, we're gonna have
That's-
to do the coffee, Nancy. We haven't done that yet.
Can I put something in it?
Yeah, you can. Please do. Happy coffee across the country. Well, okay,
Yeah.
so this is the coolest thing. We started off. We've talked with you over a year or
Couple times.
something now.
Yeah.
I can't keep track of time, but when we realized, oh, we're going to do this across the country, it was like May, June when we started, and um, being on the road, especially going from one place to the other, we have one where we're keeping our water nice and cold. so you can refill from your water, and clean water. And then the other is we do have wine, and you keep in the back of your car. It's stealth too. But if we stop at different areas like rest areas. If there's a park, we see a brown sign, we pull over as soon as we can and go check it out. And we'll sit in a place for a half an hour to an hour, take a little walk around, just kind of get a break from the road. And we have a little wine, not like a whole bunch, just a little bit
Yeah,
to
a
ease the
little.
pressure and to suss out the surroundings. Because when you sit down, the wildlife comes, the birds come, everybody starts coming out to say hi to you. And then you're like, whoa, we should have brought another portofino. No, we can't. You got to get back on the road. But you're within your limits. That's the coolest
Right.
thing. And it's keeping your wine good. Like your wine doesn't go stale as you're traveling, you know. And because by the end of 2 days, it's gone when it comes to us. But it's a really neat
But you're
way of,
right. Yeah.
yeah, road
There's
tripping with wine.
yeah, it really does prevent the oxidization of the wine. You know, just like boxed wine, it's made of the same type of material, so you can keep your wine in there for weeks actually without it. Unlike when you open up a bottle and then it's really difficult to kind of keep that the oxygen from getting in there and kind of spoiling the wine. So, yeah, that's it's a good point. I get you with you're with a few friends or whatever, and it's easy to knock out like a bottle of wine or two. But if you're just a couple people and you want it to last, you just want to have a glass of wine, once a night or whatever, then it will last. So that's definitely a little perk of it.
Yeah. I mean,
I
rest areas.
like when we're out like hiking and other hikers will arrive at the same place at the same time, and they've got their backpacks on and they kind of sling them to the ground, and then they're like bending over or getting on their knees, and they're opening their backpacks and they're searching for cups, and we're all sitting down there with all we do is put the little flap up, open the little spigot, and we're drinking wine, and they're looking at us like, how'd you do that?
Because we're stealth.
That's
funny.
great.
It is. It is. That's a good hour. When he first came on the show with you, he was like, it's stealth.
It's funny.
That's a key word for us. When we go play,
Yeah.
we'll be at a road stop, and everybody's there with their families, and we're like, dude, stealth time.
That's fun. I know.
And
Guitar's
then
always like, it's the secret weapon.
I know.
You have a secret weapon.
And then you want to keep it quiet, and then you want to go, nanny, 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 look what I have. But there's been interesting places we have been with Portovino, and I think one of the coolest, we drove from Colorado to Yuma, and we left our friend's place, and we had our picnic. We had sandwiches and everything because we said, okay, we're just going to drive, and whatever happens, happens. We're just going to go. And we're not going to, we know we've got like 2 days or, a day and a half to get there, and we can take time, and we can car camp if we want to. We can pull into a motel if we want. But we really just, because if you're just staying for a few hours to sleep, there's no point in taking everything out of the car. So we're like,
Right.
let's just go and see, where we can, sleep and wake up. And we started driving along the Arkansas River. It was beautiful. And we went through Curacante National Recreation Area. Nancy, that was,
Awesome.
absolutely geologically crazy. The
Mhm.
colors of fall were slowly coming in. Just all the goldenrod and just these, I can't even, and then you've got the water and this blue water. So it was just like, wow, these colors. And then of course we did these crazy mountain passes that I thought I was going to pee in my pants on them. I drove the $1 Million Highway is one of the most deadliest highways in the world. And I wasn't prepared, but I needed my Portovino, but I couldn't, and I did so many mountain passes, and we said, okay, and I don't know how we did this, but we ended up at Petrified Forest National Park, excuse me. And we were like, okay, it's only a few hours, so we're going to car camp at the entrance. So it was like 49 degrees. It was cold, but it was like the full moon. The stars were out. We
It was
parked
awesome.
right outside the entrance, and we could see that there was other people camping kind of thing. We found out later that there was like a free camping site and a rock shop and a museum and like little teepee things and big dinosaur statues. So Nancy and I pull in there and we're like, how did we get here? Like, how did we drive that long? How did we do this? We need a wiggy time. So out comes the Portovino. We bundle up in the front seat, and I mean, it was like going to the drive-in with so many stars. So we
Wow,
sat with
that
our
sounds
little
gorgeous.
silicone cups. We had these little flashlights, and we're getting there. We have our sandwich, and we're like, well, here we are. What are we doing?
We're drinking with a dinosaur.
The next morning, the sun's rising. The sunrise was absolutely mind-blowing. But there's like this dinosaur face in my window.
It's so funny.
And I'm like,
where are we?
what did we drink last night? But
oh, that's great.
it was really one of those coolest experiences, but we really needed our wine at that. In fact, I think we had a little bit something stronger, to be honest, because we always have that too, in case. And that was one of those moments. And thank you for the Portovino, because
Oh my gosh, I have to say, like you know, it's so fun hearing all your stories, and you really do have like the most amazing, you know, at least from my perspective, amazing life, and you're always like checking out new things, and you're really the perfect duo to be like, you know, taking the Portovino and checking out the different views, because you're always explaining these amazing new, you know, parts of the country that you're exploring. And you know, after doing mountain passes, after traveling through mountain passes like that, I'm with you. I need a little stress reliever. You don't have to go searching for like a store that's open where you can buy something. It's like, it's right there waiting for you. So you can, especially with a view like that, you know, that's perfect.
well, that it is magic. I mean, it's been a magic journey. The one we had wine in Arkansas, Pinnacle Mountain State Park, and allowed. By the way, we did ask the park people, and they said we were allowed in the state parks with our wine. But
just putting that out there, right?
yeah, but we had our wine with a water snake. Nancy found a water snake.
That was so cool.
Oh no! Wow. Well, you know, and that's the same thing too. It's kind of sad, right? I mean, I don't think, being more European, we've talked about this too, like having a glass of wine or, you know, a drink somewhere is really not like it's not it shouldn't be an issue. No, you know, even if you're, from my perspective, I think it's when people abuse it that it becomes an issue, and that's why they kind of, you know, say it's not allowed, because they can't control like the people who might abuse it. But otherwise, you know, what's the harm in, you know, just stopping and having a glass of wine and enjoying like nature and
Snake.
That's my take on it.
It's very European, and they don't have that like, oh, thou shalt not drink kind of attitude that some people can have in this country. It just is. It's not a big bad deal. We're not talking about overdoing it and getting drunk and acting stupid. You know, we're talking about having a glass of wine, and that's all.
Yeah, but I was panicking in that park. You know, we did the Kingfisher Trail, and before we got there, like literally Nancy did, I'm standing right on the edge, and there's this what I thought was a stick, and Nancy's like, it ain't no stick.
Yeah.
It was this beautiful water snake, and of course, then
really awesome.
I'm trying to get in there and photograph it, and then I realize I'm going to fall in the bayou with the snake. Step back, and then I'm like, that's it. And so we've got our wine, our Portovino bag, and we go in, and we got into this whole area where there was cypress trees and knees and swampy, and you know there's snakes all in there. And we're like, okay. And there's people walking around, because this is like a popular park right outside Little Rock. And it's, you know, and it's so hot, we're like sweating. You know, it's summer in the South, and Nancy and I were, okay, stealth. Okay, Nancy's holding the bag. I'm trying to do this. Don't knock the silicone cups over. Like, I'm glad. Thanks for sending us more, because there's issues sometimes trying to get the photos. You never know, because we go into places you shouldn't probably. I don't, you know what I mean, try to do it. But
and you're like, and if it's going in with the snakes, they're going.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
that's
Well, and silicone's a little bit better for the environment too, so I like that. But we haven't lost any yet. But Nancy's hope we get there and we're balancing them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here comes people. And I'm hiding it. Nancy's like, who cares? And I'm like, no, the people can't see us with wine in the park. You know, she's like, I don't care. Then we had dinner with the CVB gentleman, Bill, and his wife, and she was state parks. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but we played Portofino in the park. And she's like, well, good. Did you see any laws against that? She was like, good. I'm going to have to send him this interview. Because she's like, it's okay. So now it is about being stealth and you have a good time, but you go and you see the most magical places if you just stop. And that's the thing. I want to thank you for allowing us to be featured in your blog, the Portovino blog. It was really cool to kind of reminisce and think about, what we've been doing on this tour since 2012, our crazy adventure, but to put it together. But does your blog come out every Wednesday? Is it a Wine Wednesday thing?
Yeah, exactly. Every Wednesday we have a blog and we feature different types of things, and I love that you wrote your story. Like I was saying to you and Nancy, that it's just great to see like how all the struggles and the things you deal with on a day-to-day basis, and how you travel, and just how you do it. So it's a really, really great blog and really, really fun read to see how Lisa and Nancy do their magic every day. And so thank you for kind of contributing. But yes, every Wednesday we come up with a different blog, anything from food and entertainment to traveling, and fashion, and just a nice combination, as well as like little life lessons and things like that, things that we can get that inspire us. So
thank you. No, and I enjoyed reading yours because you did a really good one on goal setting. I like it. Telling people to write things down.
You guys you're the masters at all of that. But yeah, especially as we headed into January, right? It's so easy to make these resolutions that are big and grandiose, and then we it's too easy to walk away after a couple of weeks. I think that's the average out there is people only kind of keep those resolutions for 10 days or something. But if we write it down and we keep it manageable, and work our way up to the bigger goals, it's something that can be a little bit more lasting. Just like these 2020 challenges that you have in place, right? If everybody contributes a little bit, then you can realize the big goal in the end.
For sure.
Now, when you write your goals and look at what you want to do you both sit with a Portovino moment? How does that happen for you and Gunnar?
We find it's funny, and Gunnar and I, goal setting together, and for the Portovino and for the company, and it's actually interesting because I do think that when you stop and you really kind of focus but it relax at the same time. Actually having a glass of wine or just kind of getting into a chill moment, it's so much more productive. It's a funny thing. I think we come up with some of our best ideas when we are actually just, I remember we were, I don't know if you've ever done that. There's a salt river here that it's a really cold river. It's beautiful, canyon, and in the hot summer in Phoenix, when it's 110, it's a great thing. You get these big tubes and you float down the river, and cool. I just always remember one of our great brainstorming sessions. It wasn't meant to be. It was really just meant to be okay, Gunnar and I, we need to stop working, and just that never happened. So we were actually floating down this tube. We went in the Salt River, and we had our Portovino with our wine in it. We're drinking, and it was awesome. And we're coming up with all these awesome ideas. I was like, this needs to be a weekly thing. This needs to be part of the way we work. So it really does make a difference. So just relax.
For even with the Portovino, to me, what I love about it, if you're traveling, you tend to go as fast as you can, take the freeway to get from point A to point B, instead of having the journey for the whole trip. So now you get to your destination, and then you have a few days there, and then you hightail it home as fast as possible, instead of taking a couple of the days away from the destination and using them so that you enjoy the journey there, have the destination fun, and then take a different way back and enjoy the journey home, so you see way more. And I think the Portovino encourages that.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, even that trip we took from Colorado to Yuma, that was our thing. We stopped at every place we possibly could. And, that's how we experienced things, it's just
Exactly.
it was magic. I mean, it really was cool. And then on our way back we did the whole Petrified Forest drive and got out, took photos, and we definitely need to go. And like, I want to go camping out there. And then
Mm.
we can't, I mean, it's some place that we'd always wanted to go. And here we were living in Arizona and never been there yet, and it was like, this is insanely amazing,
Mm.
probably just, I don't know, it gives me goosebumps how much ancient history is there, and so
Yeah,
then on
it
the
is
way
amazing.
back from there, we're driving and driving, and I'm like, we really haven't slept, and I'm like, dude, I need a Portofino time. I was getting cranky, and there was like no pull-offs for Portofino, and
We
all of a
don't want
sudden,
her cranky.
remember, outside of Kingman, and I'm like, I'll drive to Oatman and sit with a burro and have my wine with a burro, because I would. But right outside Kingman was the brown sign for the Huachi Pachi Huacha Wacha whatever mountain park. Remember? So we're like, okay. And
Sure.
next thing you know, we're going, and I'm like, we're running out of gas, and I'm like, this isn't the smartest idea, but I'm like, I need Portofino time. Nancy needs Portofino time, and then we sat with the squirrels. All of a sudden, it went
Aw.
from like low desert, you know, to suddenly we were up in the mountains in a pine forest with the squirrels. Like,
Ah, beautiful.
you're like, how did that happen?
It's
And then
so
Right.
cool.
How was
it
I
was,
even cranky before?
I
This
know,
is
right?
the most
It's,
zen moment now.
it
Yeah.
prevents crankiness. And it's interesting. We just interviewed David and Julie Bullitt. They're out of DC area, Maryland, and she's a family therapist, and he's a divorce attorney. Both do a lot. I mean, he's one of the best divorce attorneys in DC. And she's, I think it's on the Discovery Channel and all kinds of things. And they wrote a book together, and it's to keep everybody out of their offices,
Mm.
couples out of their office, and they have their meetings about what's going on in their life with happy hour time. They recommend they like our Portofino style. So we were talking about that because they said, like, when you just sit and relax and you're taking a sip, then people don't talk over each other as much either when you have
Mhm.
those meetings.
Yeah.
So I think the goal setting floating down the rivers now. Nancy, we need to do that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do. Yeah. I
Cool.
think, but that's a good point. I think when you're in a happy hour mode, you're out of like it's just out of the traditional element, right? So you're just saying happy hour makes you happy, right? It's like you don't even versus like a meeting. That's just it's right there. The connotation just changes, and the dynamics of probably how you converse changes.
Mhm. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I love it. I love it because yeah, it just, everybody has to take that moment. And that's what's so cool about this challenge. So we started a Big Blend community, everyone, over the new year. And it's like our own social site where we can communicate and share things and do things together. And it turned into like, hey, why don't we, work together on things and share experiences. And so we started with our one challenge, which is our 1 hour walk, something we've had a Facebook group of for about a year or two. I can't keep up with that either, but how long. But it's about, let's go out and take a walk for the health of it. It's really good for our heart. It's really good to clear the mind. Our 1 hour walks always end with, well, not every single one, but with a Portofino time. And we realize, the benefits of sitting out in nature. They even say, even if you have one plant in your room or your office, how it really changes your health and stress. And for us women, cortisol, the stress hormone, gives us that little pouch that we don't like. And so if you go out into nature and relax, then that stress hormone doesn't develop as much. Let's put it that way. It combats that, and it helps with blood pressure. It helps just even getting fresh air and vitamin D. And a lot of the parks, I was all stuck in these statistics and the Mayo Clinic, and all of these researchers and scientists have really proven that just getting out in nature and the importance of just even sitting in a relaxed view, what it does, health-wise for us. And so a lot of parks, community parks, trails, they're putting more benches in. They're looking at what can we do about views. And I think it's important for us to help be part of that view. Part of what we started on the tour was one of the reasons was in the Everglades. We were in the Everglades National Park in January 2012, and we were looking at all these alligators at the Hinga Trail. And I mean, there were alligators and cormorants and, everything all hanging out with each other. It was like the biodiversity, like, wow, and a kid
Wow.
dropped his soda can in. Now, who's going to
Yeah.
pick that up? So
Yeah.
part of that view is just saying, just a PSA moment, let's not do that. let's
Yeah, it's like,
let's love our
I'll buy you
parks.
another one. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
scary.
exactly. Yeah, really. I mean, who's gonna go in there and take the cans and the trash out with the alligators? I ain't getting in there and doing that. But
Yeah.
so that's the point. Is like the Love Your Parks tour is about let's love our parks, not love them too much. Let's love them, keep them clean. It's also about us. And when we go out and enjoy those views, you start to see the beauty. You start to calm down, but you also start to see like, wow, there's trash over here. How did that happen? What did we do over there? And so maybe we can be a little bit more of stewards, from these experiences too. So we've just figured if we all come together in 20 months, we can share photos of these beautiful places that we've experienced in these 20 months. If we can get to 2020 shares like that, it's something positive that we're all doing instead of fighting over politics. How about that?
That sounds way better.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think the cortisol levels go up like with the politics discussion. So let's work
Yeah.
on getting them down with the nature and
I know.
Yeah.
It's like
nature
if you turn your TV on, all of a sudden the belly just starts expanding.
I know. I was actually taking notes when you wrote that. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There's extra benefits of being in nature.
Yeah,
Get rid
they
of
said
that.
even looking at photos of nature calm you down.
Wow,
So
that's awesome. That's really great. So I can
yeah.
eat a brownie and look at.
Oh, you're doing real good. You're real good. Yeah, but listen, we know that you run, and I'm sorry, but like we stroll because we have to balance our wine cup. But no,
That's.
but I don't know how you do that. But yeah,
uh,
but it is a thing about going and having those routines, no matter what you're doing in life, to have that balance. That's the balance key. I think the routine it's if we miss our 1 hour walks, um, yeah, we
It's
get
not good.
cranky. Yeah, we get cranky
yeah,
and stodgy. Your body doesn't like it. It's like it
yeah.
needs out.
And just like what you're saying about whether it's the sun or the sunrise, it's like, being in that, I think it just increases like your dopamine levels too. It makes you feel good. You just feel so good. I love starting the morning like that, if I can get on a trail run in the morning and see the sunrise, or at least, feel the morning sun. It's a good feeling.
And hear the birds, the
Yeah,
birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
totally. Sets the
So
tone for the day.
So looking forward, like 2020, I know we've got some, travels ahead, of course, but for you, PortoVino-with-a-View, where do you want to go this year and have like
Oh,
the most amazing view?
such a good question. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I should admit this, but I'm turning 50 this year. So like my
Cool.
husband was actually saying like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And it's always about like, I'm all about checking out new places. So I don't know the answer to that yet, but I will, when I do, I will let you know. Sometimes when there's too many options, it's difficult. So, but we'll definitely be going somewhere. But other than that, PortoVino, for me, it's really about like just that when you get together with friends and just having the PortoVino to be like, I'm bringing, this used to be like a slogan we used to use, but, bring the party. So in a sense, like I like to be able to bring the party with friends. So, I use my PortoVino every day, but without generally anything in it, but then, when I get together with friends or we go someplace or if, like same thing, if we go to parks or, if we go on bike rides, then it's great to have the backpack and be able to stop and, generally I'm with the kids when we go on bike rides and stuff. So it's packing water and it's, I can keep it cold. So just all over the place. And, like you always point out and the life you live, you don't have to go to a huge national park to just enjoy the beauty that's around us. So there's places in every community that you can go to, whether it's a bike ride or a hike or just for a walk or whatever it is.
They say that
I think that, when people go to their community parks and start going from one to the other, instead of just going to one park all the time, they start to have more of appreciation for what what their community has to offer and what, where their tax dollars are actually going sometimes, And do you realize that you could be in a place for years and maybe only go to one or two parks, and there's really 20 you could have gone to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right. And don't we have a tendency, I think everybody does, when it's in your backyard, you feel like, oh, I'll go one day,
Yeah.
But then, I mean, there's so many people that I'm not from Arizona. I live here now, but there's so many people that I know that I'll speak to, like, have never been to the Grand Canyon or Sedona, and these are just like magical places, right? And you think like, oh, and they've lived here their whole life, but then they'll travel elsewhere and they'll make sure they go see everything there. And it's like, you have to go see Sedona and the Grand Canyon. Yeah. It's just a few hours away, So I think that's a good point. Sometimes you just have to be more intentional about, like, being aware of what's around you and make sure you check it out.
That's why these challenges are important, I think, because it kind of, that going back to the Everglades, when we got back to this country from South Africa, Nancy and I both lived in Florida and all over Florida, but never once did we go to the Everglades. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's like one of the most important, ecological places in the world. I mean, you've got you've got crocodiles, you got alligators and manatees in the same park, roseate spoonbills, orchids, and bromeliads that grow. They have one of the highest concentrations of orchids in the country.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? And we had to drive from Tucson to Florida to do it because we were invited to do a radio show at a plant expo, and we're like, detour, and then we're like, oh, the tour is on, because it was mulling around because we'd been doing so many shows on conservation and what was happening to our parks. And then the kid drops the thing in there and we're like, oh, we are so going on this tour. So doing it. But it was like, we have a lot of things in our backyard, and a lot of times it's interesting being the communities we've been in. People, like, if you have, like Saguaro National Park was our backyard in Tucson. And a lot of people will go there if they have friends and family come, or they did it when they were a kid, and then forget that that's their backyard. And we forget that. It's like, it's a 5-minute drive there. Go check it out. Go get to know the place, even if it's the same trail. I mean, a lot of times if we're in a place for a long time, we'll start taking that same trail, and every day will be different. You will see something different. So I think it's get out there, man, especially with your kids. It's important that they get fresh air and away from the screen.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
that's one of our New Year's resolutions is like every month, and I know it's when we got teenage kids, boys are busy with sports and everything, so it's hard to get time, like, where you're like, okay, but I've made it a point. I'm like, every month we're each picking a place that we're going to do something. We're going to go for a hike or a bike ride, so every person in the family is going to pick something so we can do it. So we did it in January. It's fun. It's just a fun thing to be like, okay, it's your turn. You pick. What are we doing? So they can pick, like, where we're going to go for a hike or where we're going to go for a bike ride, and that's been fun. And then we kind of try to couple it with, like, a new restaurant that we're going to go try. So whether it's breakfast or lunch or dinner. So that's fun. Yeah, it kind of gets forces you to go out, because otherwise I think it's so easy, like we're saying, to just always be like, oh, let's just go down the street and grab something, whether it's for food, and then, or just not plan to. And unfortunately, a lot of times, because we're all so busy, you need to plan a little bit if you're going to go, make something happen. Otherwise it's easy to just take care of the busy stuff that we all need to do. So
that's why we walk in the morning, because the rest of the day goes crazy.
Yeah, we never. Yeah, we never make it in the afternoon.
Yeah,
it's true. Like, life gets in the way.
Yeah, so you have to make that time. I remember a business coach coming on our show and talking about, especially women, because it's moms, and we multitask, and we've got to kind of not do that, even though we do it. But she was saying, like, the only way we get time out is if we go and put it in your planner. Oh, I have an appointment, and you just mark you make an appointment with yourself, even if it's for 2 hours once a week or something, to get your hair done or whatever it is, or go on a walk, or, hey, I'm just going to go, take a bubble bath and meditate with my wine, whatever it is, you write that in there as though you're meeting, the next, business mogul or whatever it is, it is that important. And so then you just plan around that as though you would with everybody else. So we have to make those appointments. And then what you do in there is cool.
Idea.
And it's cool what you're doing with your boys, because for them to pick and choose, then they're learning those skills of time and how long will it take to, what are the facilities? Those are all skills,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I mean, like you mentioned about electronics, I think, and I feel like most people are part of that, society. Kids certainly I have to say are more addicted to it, but there's so much information that you just, I find myself coming to the computer with like this is what I'm coming here for, and then everybody does this, like half an hour later you're like, okay, wait, what did I sit down for? Like I just been thrown into all these rabbit holes, but it just takes control. So it's good to just get away from it.
That's also the challenge is it's about, social media, you can get sucked into it. It's like a vortex of good and negative. And that's why, like, we started our community, because it is really about being active and doing something positive that it's meaningful. It's meaningful social media, and we've got a lot of things planned, everyone, on this. We're going to have panel discussions, video conferences, all kinds of cool stuff happening on there. So the best thing to do is just go to nationalparktraveling.com. You'll see our challenges up there on the homepage, and also just look under your Love Your Parks tour. It's all there too. So on the site there. But of course, you want to go to PortoVino, and you go to porto-vino.com and go. Come on, man! I'm telling you, once you PortoVino, you can't go back.
It's a commitment.
It is. It's a way of life. And I was even saying the blog that we travel so lightly, and trust me, and then things do accumulate, and then you're like, you have to like purge it all, because you can't keep adding, you can't keep adding water to a full glass. You just can't do it. But a PortoVino is functional, man. You can do that. And so that's the thing. It's when you start thinking of those, like, what are you putting in your life that's functional and fun at the same time? And that's the cool thing about PortoVino is, like, yeah, it reminds you, if you're carrying it, like Priscilla, our pink sock monkey, she has her own tote bag, PortoVino tote bag. And if we look at her and a little face pops out, we know it's time. It's like her saying, it's time for a PortoVino moment. It's your reminder. See? So everyone, again, it's porto-vino.com. And thank you so much, Marisa, for joining us on the show, and also for sending us on this assignment that turned into a map, that turned into a challenge. What's next? Who knows?
Love it. Thanks for having me, Lisa and Nancy. It's always so much fun.
Thank you. And everyone, thank you for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, Be Merry show. Our shows air Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sundays. You can see the schedule up on bigblendradio.com. And we always love to play music. And this is like one of those perfect view songs from one of our favorite bands, the Tall Men Group out of LA. This was written by Jimmy Yessian. We call him the Muffin Man. It's from their album, Too Tall. There's 5 tall men. At this point, there were 6 tall men. We called them the 6-pack, see? And so they each have to have a backpack for this. They all love parks, too. But this song is called One Maui Sunset, because, Nancy, we haven't experienced that. We need that. So
yeah, we do.
I'm just putting it out there. So here it is, One Maui Sunset. Take care, everyone, and cheers.
Over the ocean I flew, drops on the window, blurry the view. One Maui sunset I knew it was for me, this gift from you. Floating on water, breathing out and in, sailing on trade winds. One Maui sunset, I felt your heart shining through. I'm one Maui sunset away from you. yellow on crimson, crying on cue. One Maui sunset I knew I'd find myself thinking of you. Rays of light, grays and blues, only the tide knows the truth. One Maui sunset, I felt your love shining through. I'm one Maui sunset away from you. Sunset, I felt myself falling through. I'm one Maui sunset away. Thank you for this beautiful day. One Maui sunset away.